What's up, everybody? You're back with The Chosen Con, and today I have with us in the studio Mr. Matthew Perzo. So, Matthew, we dove into a bunch of things in the podcast.
We did.
One thing I really wanted to talk about and actually have the people listen to is your experience being a young Jewish kid going to St. George's.
Yeah.
Right? The yarmulke, right? That kind of really blew me away because I wasn't expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I went through a lot of racism, but hearing your experience about it, man, it's... Go ahead. Well, how did it go?
Well, I think it's tough. I think that if there's anything that I wasn't, it was white passing.
Mm-hmm.
When I...
Well, what's white passing?
White passing, I think my understanding is that you can blend in with the majority of the United States and Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and don't suffer a certain amount of prejudice that is associated with what happens to people of color.
Got it.
And so what I'm trying to say is that by no means did I blend in.
Yeah. And why is that?
Most Jews in North America are assimilated, and they're secular. So they don't necessarily have any identifiers of their faith. Some don't consider it a faith, that it's cultural for them, and so on. But for those that do, oftentimes the yarmulke or kippah, the head covering, is worn as a sign of respect, that we know that there's something outside of ourselves.
Got it. And you were talking about another garment. What was that called?
Yeah. So that's called tzitzit. And so that's an undergarment, and it has little kind of strings that are tied in very specially tied knots that represent a kind of mystical number, and it's all a whole detail. And so I was wearing that.
At St. George's, and you were in grade. What grade? When did the anti-Semitism or just like the bullying, when did it kind of start?
It started as soon as I started wearing and being identifiable as a Jew. So that would be grade 4, as I was becoming more religious. And, in elementary school, it has a certain kind of a tone to it. Mm-hmm. They are kids, and they see difference, and they can pick on that. Though in that time there were some pretty traumatic stuff that did happen, I think.
Any examples?
When rocks were thrown through my windows, when a gigantic swastika was spray painted at the garage door across from us in White Rock. Mm-hmm. It sent a message. And then in high school, I went to St. George's for 3 years. And the anti-Semitism there was intense and had moved from the pure childishness to adolescent male rage and narcissism. Yeah. And so it was a very difficult experience. I would have kids doing the Sieg Heil, the Hitler salute in the hall as I passed. I had a kid throw money at me. Say, "You're a Jew, shouldn't you be picking this up?"
Yeah.
Quarters, man. Come on.
You're going to expensive private school too, man. Yeah.
I was doing a presentation in an English class once, and as I'm doing it, the kid yells out "Jew." Mm-hmm. Yeah. We talked about this, but real stand-up comic there.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, really on the ball.
And so the reason I bring this up is that you went through that discrimination, and I think that's something that's led to you being the way you are now. Is you're trying to work together with everyone. Like, so what's been going on now? You've been working with kids. You've been working with different people of different faiths. So what do you think is the way to move forward after going through stuff like that?
I think that there are two ways of looking at it. And one is the personal, and I think that there's a great variety in how one can respond. Mm-hmm. One can laugh, and one can try to persuade, though I think that is a rather difficult way of going forward, especially for a kid or adolescent. Mm-hmm. And another way is to just simply not back down, and that's what I chose. I didn't quite have the resources or the security to laugh it off. I very much felt on my own, and so, with a stiff upper lip, as they say in Britain,
yeah,
that's what
And it's tough though.
But in terms of moving forward,
yeah.
There's also a collective element, and that's a political element.
Mm-hmm.
And to really move forward, you have to move away from the idea that you're just yourself. It's like, my name's Matt Perzo, and I'm X identity, Y identity, Z identity, and that's it. Or maybe there are 150 of them.
Yeah.
We also belong to society. Humans are a political animal.
Yeah.
We can't exist by ourselves. And the more we do, the more we suffer. The more we're together, the more we prosper. And this has to be seen in the political arena, where we have to stand in solidarity with people who are suffering as a result of structural imbalances in the political system. It can't just be an individual effort.
Yeah. It is something you said too in the podcast. Basically, Matthew was talking about, what is it, the narcissism of differences?
Yeah. So it's a psychological term called the narcissism of small differences.
Got it.
And so the idea is that as, let's say, two people become more similar in their features or their ideas or their beliefs or how they speak, the closer they are to an outside observer, the more they see the differences between the person who's close to them.
So it's like me and you, let's say we're exactly alike. We're twins. We both believe in the same faith, all of that. But you like a different book. You like Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and I like, let's say Narnia.
So I say, anyone who likes Narnia must be off their rocker.
Yeah.
Like, who likes Narnia? What a ridiculous thing to like Narnia. Can you believe this guy? He likes Narnia.
Yeah. And so that's something that's happening in the world right now, it seems.
Yeah.
That everyone's like, the tidbits, it's like, you think this differently, you are an idiot. I can't even have a dialogue. I'm sorry. I can't have a dialogue with you guys because you just don't think, you don't think exactly like me, but no one's going to think exactly like us. Yeah. Right? So you're saying, going back earlier to what you were saying about the how we're societal beings, I think right now with social media, we talk about in the podcast how social media has kind of gotten us away from everyone else.
Yeah.
Right? We've kind of been, it's our phone and we start just seeing the likes and we see all this stuff. And we're alone. We truly are alone in a world that's supposedly very connected.
Right.
Right? So the narcissism of small differences has run rampant around the world.
Absolutely. And I think that one interesting example of that is between Islam and Judaism.
Yeah.
Because both are Middle Eastern religions, both believe in the one God and have a prophet and have a Semitic script to their holy books. Mm-hmm. They have fasting, all sorts of similarities.
But we hate, it's like what's happening in the world. It's like we hate Muslims and Jews we cannot, me and you should not even be sitting together, man. Get this guy out of here, Luke. You know what I mean? But that's the way that people are looking at it. They're not realizing, hey, look, we do have common ground. If we start having this dialogue, we start talking, maybe we can move forward and actually work on some things, right? I wanted to end off this video as well with you saying where you're going. You're going to be going to Israel.
Yes.
To be helping, what is it, Ethiopian...
It will depend on what exactly happens, but it's one of two cities. It's either Rishon LeZion, where there's a large Ethiopian Jewish community that has found it hard to assimilate into Israeli society for a number of reasons: class, race, linguistic. And the other city would be Lod, which has a large Arab minority. And my intention is to work with nonprofits on the ground.
And children, right?
To work with, to work with kids and to learn from the communities and see what I can do using English and my writing skills, and do like to write, as a way to advocate for the rights that Israel theoretically gives to all of its citizens.
No, that's sweet, man. If you guys are interested in what Matthew is up to, and if you want to be connected to his journey too, they can connect with you on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm not an Instagram person.
He's not
they can do the Facebook.
There's no DMs for Matthew.
Yeah.
And then also
email exists.
Yeah. So that'll be perfect. Thank you all for tuning in. And if you want to see more of Matthew as well, we'll probably get him on in maybe in like 8 or 9 months. We'll go visit you in Israel if you can afford a plane ticket. And I'd love to hear what's actually going on over there.
Absolutely.
Right, so thank you again, my man.
Thank you.
All right. Peace. I've never been surrounded by so many buttons in my life. please click subscribe. Check out the podcast. Check out some other videos too. You will not be disappointed. Well, my parents are disappointed.